Welcome back. I know you are just dying to know who was watching Lizzie. Right?
Who was it?
It's a little creepy, a little stalkerish, but it's a little exciting too, right?
So exciting.
So we're gonna play a game that we all play on P&B The Real Story. I'm going to give you a character name, and then you're going to give me words you associate with them. So when I say ding, next thing that comes into your mind.
Okay. This is I'm kind of stressed out. Ooh, okay. I'm scared.
You should be. Caroline Bingley.
Oh, I almost said a bad word.
That's okay.
Bitch.
Ding.
Pretty.
Ding.
Two-faced.
Ding.
Redheaded.
Ding. Ow!
I'm sorry! She's redheaded in the movie!
Okay, alright. We're hating on the gingers, it's fine.
So bad. I'm so sorry. That was over the line.
It's just fine.
It's just
stand over here in my corner.
She's redheaded in the movie. She's pretty in the
corner.
movie. Janine, come back. Come back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't even say ginger, though. I said redheaded. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I was associating with the movie and...
Sure, it's fine.
Maybe some personal...
Totally fine. Maybe some personal?
No!
Just keep digging that hole!
Oh gosh. Okay, so next one.
Ding!
Social climber.
I was gonna say, you're fixated on the red. Anyway, so, in this half, we get to see Lizzie and Darcy shenanigans! And Darcy is super awkward. And Lizzie is not so happy with him. So, thank you for tuning in, and the eagerly awaited part 2 is coming up next. So, my name is Janine Hegarty, and this is...
Shannon Vinson.
And this is...
P&P, The Real Story.
Chapter 6, Party at the Lucas's, aka Too Many Feels, Part 2. Mr. Darcy at first scarcely allowed her to be pretty. He had looked at her without admiration at the ball, and when they next met, he looked at her only to criticize. But no sooner had he made it clear to himself and his friends that she had hardly a good feature in her face, than he began to find it was rendered uncommonly intelligent by the beautiful expression of her dark eyes. To this discovery succeeded some others equally mortifying. Though he had detected with a critical eye more than one failure of perfect symmetry in her form, he was forced to acknowledge her figure to be light and pleasing, and in spite of his asserting that her manners were not those of the fashionable world, he was caught by their easy playfulness. Of this she was perfectly unaware. To her, he was only the man who had made himself agreeable nowhere, and who had not thought her handsome enough to dance with. He began to wish to know more of her, and as a step towards conversing with her himself, attended to her conversation with others. His doing so drew her notice. It was at Sir William Lucas's, where a large party were assembled. "What does Mr. Darcy mean," said she to Charlotte, "by listening to my conversation with Colonel Forster?" "That is a question by which Mr. Darcy only can answer." "But if he does it any more, I shall certainly let him know that I see what he is about. He has a very satirical eye, and if I do not begin by being impertinent myself, I shall soon grow afraid of him." On his approaching them soon afterwards, though without seeming to have any intention of speaking, Miss Lucas defied her friend to mention such a subject to him, which immediately provoked Elizabeth to doing it. She turned to him and said, "Did you not think, Mr. Darcy, that I expressed myself uncommonly well just now when I was teasing Colonel Forster to give us a ball at Meryton?" "With great energy, but it is a subject which always makes a lady energetic. You are severe on us." "It will be her turn soon to be teased," said Miss Lucas. "I am going to open the instrument, Eliza, and you know what follows." "You are a very strange creature by way of a friend, always wanting me to play and sing before anybody and everybody. If my vanity had taken a musical turn, you would have been invaluable. But as it is, I would really rather not sit down before those who must be in the habit of hearing the very best performers. On Miss Lucas's persevering, however, she added, "Very well. If it must be so, it must," and gravely glancing at Mr. Darcy, "There is a fine old saying, which everybody here is of course familiar with. Keep your breath to cool your porridge. I shall keep mine to swell my song." Her performance was pleasing, though by no means capital. After a song or two, and before she could reply to the entreaties of several that she would sing again, she was eagerly succeeded at the instrument by her sister Mary, who, in consequence of being the only plain one in the family, worked hard for knowledge and accomplishments, was impatient for display. Mary had neither genius nor taste, and though vanity had given her application, it had given her likewise a pedantic air and a conceited manner, which would have injured a higher degree of excellence than she had reached. Elizabeth, easy and unaffected, had been listened to with much more pleasure, though not playing half so well, and Mary, at the end of a long concerto, was glad to purchase praise and gratitude by Scotch and Irish airs, at the request of her younger sisters, who, with some of the Lucases and 2 or 3 officers, joined eagerly in dancing at one end of the room. Mr. Darcy stood near them in silent indignation at such a mode of passing the evening, to the exclusion of all conversation, and was too much engrossed by his own thoughts to perceive that Sir William Lucas was his neighbour, till Sir William thus began.
"What a charming amusement for you young people this is, Mr. Darcy. There is nothing like dancing after all. I consider it as one of the first refinements of polished societies."
"Certainly, sir. And it has the advantage also of being in vogue amongst the less polished societies of the world. Every savage can dance." Sir William only smiled.
"Your friend performs delightfully,"
he continued after a pause on seeing Bingley join the group.
"And I doubt not that you are adept in the science yourself, Mr. Darcy."
"You saw me dance at Meryton, I believe, sir?"
"Yes, indeed, and received no inconsiderable pleasure from the sight. Do you often dance at St. James?"
"Never, sir."
"Do you not think it would be a proper compliment to the place?"
"It is a compliment which I never pay to any place if I can avoid it."
"You have a house in town, I conclude?"
Mr. Darcy bowed.
"I had once some thoughts of fixing in town myself, for I am fond of superior society, but I did not feel quite certain that the air of London would agree with Lady Lucas."
He paused in hopes of an answer, but his companion was not disposed to make any, and Elizabeth at that moment moving towards them, he was struck with the notion of doing a very gallant thing, and he called out to her,
"My dear Miss Eliza, why are you not dancing? Mr. Darcy, you must allow me to present this young lady to you as a very desirable partner. You cannot refuse to dance, I am sure, when so much beauty is before you."
And taking her hand, he would have given it to Mr. Darcy, who, though extremely surprised, was not unwilling to receive it, when she instantly drew back, and said with some discomposure to Sir William, "Indeed, sir, I have not the least intention of dancing. I entreat you not to suppose that I move this way in order to beg for a partner." Mr. Darcy, with grave propriety, requested to be allowed the honour of her hand, but in vain. Elizabeth was determined. Nor did Sir William at all shake her purpose by his attempt at persuasion.
"You excel so much in the dance, Miss Eliza, that it is cruel to deny me the happiness of seeing you. And though this gentleman dislikes the amusement in general, he can have no objection, I am sure, to oblige us for 1/2 hour."
"Mr. Darcy is all politeness," said Elizabeth, smiling.
"He is indeed, but considering the inducement, my dear Miss Eliza, we cannot wonder at his complaisance, for who would object to such a partner?"
Elizabeth looked archly and turned away. Her resistance had not injured her with the gentleman, and he was thinking of her with some complacency when thus accosted by Miss Bingley. "I can guess the subject of your reverie." "I should imagine not." "You are considering how insupportable it would be to pass many evenings in this manner, in such society, and indeed I am quite of your opinion. I was never more annoyed. The insipidity, and yet the noise, the nothingness, and yet the self-importance of all these people. What I would give to hear your strictures on them." "Your conjecture is totally wrong, I assure you. My mind was more agreeably engaged. I have been meditating on the very great pleasure which a pair of fine eyes in the face of a pretty woman can bestow. Miss Bingley immediately fixed her eyes on his face, and desired he would tell her what lady had the credit of inspiring such reflections. Mr. Darcy replied with great intrepidity, "Miss Elizabeth Bennet." "Miss Elizabeth Bennet?" repeated Miss Bingley. "I am all astonishment. How long has she been such a favourite? And pray, when am I to wish you joy?" "That is exactly the question which I expected you to ask. A lady's imagination is very rapid. It jumps from admiration to love, from love to matrimony in a moment. I knew you would be wishing me joy." "Nay, if you are so serious about it, I shall consider the matter as absolutely settled. You will have a charming mother-in-law indeed, and of course she will always be at Pemberley with you." He listened to her with perfect indifference while she chose to entertain herself in this manner, and as his composure convinced her that all was safe, her wit flowed long. Hello! Thanks so much for joining us on P&P today. I hope you've enjoyed the latest episode. If you did, like, share, favorite, or check it out on any of these social media networks over here. Thank you so much to Shannon Vinson. It was so wonderful having you. I hope you had as much fun on the show as I did having you on the show. Be sure to check out the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. As per usual, the episodes that most closely align with this installment of P&P The Real Story are included in links below. Be sure to stay tuned because we have a very exciting chapter up for you next. It is Chapter 7, entitled Tea, the Beverage of Our Lives, for gossiping, visiting, and catching men. So stay tuned. Thanks again so much. Bye!